right?
Okay, for sure.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to UncleBo TV. I am your host, CuZo Smif, and I got a special guest. He just so happened to be one of the wonderful first responders, a great firefighter. Man, it's just wonderful to actually meet one, get to talk to one. You know what I'm saying? Most of the times I just get to see them and they do their job, but to actually talk to one is very special. Um, so go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit and just explain a little bit more about what you do.
All right, my name's Michael Welty. I'm a firefighter with Orange County. I've been a firefighter for about 2 years, and yeah, I mean, most people don't know exactly what firefighters do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's a lot of entities. They have private EMS, then you have fire rescue, stuff like that. And with fire rescue, it's basically you have a firefighter who is either a firefighter EMT or a firefighter paramedic. And we do most of our calls are EMS. So a lot of what we do is medical based, and then a good majority would be fires or like extrications is when someone gets trapped in their car. We run auto accident, um, wires down. We do a lot of other things just besides fighting fire and helping grandma off the couch or if she fell in something.
Yeah, and some people would say that firefighters are a little bit. It just seems like they do a little bit more, than the ones who say that they're supposed to protect and serve. You know what I'm saying? Um, but what you guys do is just phenomenal. You know what I mean? You literally put, your life on the line on the daily basis. Just as well as police do. But it just seems like you guys do the extra extended hand for people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so that's really why I personally like firefighters a little bit more. But
Yeah.
that's not the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I wanted to ask you was that um, before we get into like the mental health and everything like that, like what's some of the initial thoughts that you go through when you see like a fire or something like that.
Um, that's tough, because when you see a fire, like your mind goes straight to kind of like back to your training, right? So you're like, all right, what does the smoke look like? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it black, brown, white? Is there anybody outside? If you're like the first unit on scene, how big is the house? We have a good system with my department where a lot of the times you have a suppression unit like the engine or a truck or a quint and then a rescue. And I'm assigned to my rescue. So when we get on scene, we're kind of just going through kind of like our checklist. And the lieutenant is, the supervisor role on the scene until like a chief or a captain shows up and they're doing their 360, seeing any hazards, any, people maybe hanging out of a window, anything like that, anything that might be cause for concern.
Uh-huh.
And then you have your two firefighters backwards on the suppression unit, who usually are a fire attack. They'd be on the nozzle, going after the fire inside. And then a lot of the times the rescue would be like primary search, where we go in, we do a quick search of the house, um, and try to see if there's any victims, any living things inside that would need rescuing.
Right. Ooh wee. And these are just thoughts in like the first 2-3 minutes, right? Like probably
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
quick. It's not it's quick, but it's controlled, right? Especially if you're working with a good crew and you
Mm-hmm.
guys kind of know your roles. You're thinking about what everyone else is doing, but you're also thinking about your assignment as well.
Right, right. Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. Now my next question is have you ever experienced either losing a crew member or a person? Like have you ever dealt with any of that?
I haven't, not personally. Like we have had some losses in our department in the 2 years that I've been on the job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, like not personal to me per se, but because they are, our brother or sister, it does hit home a little bit different. And thankfully, I haven't had any loss of patience. But I have had some patients who were in like critical condition, and it gets very, um, it gets very stressful, to
Mm-hmm.
say the least. But you just go back to your training. If you have a good crew with you, a good medic, and they're calm, you're calm. And you just kind of figure out what the plan is, and then just execute the plan.
Okay. 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 So, has there ever been a time where it was like, okay, um, like the scenario itself it seems kind of overwhelming, but you push through it. Like, can you tell me about a time about like something like that?
Yeah, actually, it's still kind of fresh, but it was like my first year. Um, I was at one of the busier houses in our department for like my first assignment,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. We got a call for an auto versus ped, which is a vehicle versus a pedestrian.
Mm-hmm.
And when we show up on scene, pretty much what happened was this lady was crossing the street on her bike, and there was a truck that was going way over the speed limit and hit her. And when we got on scene, it was bad. Like it was the most gruesome call that I've seen being in the department. And it wasn't my first call, but it was my first like gruesome call like that.
Yeah.
And um, for me, it was kind of hectic because I was like, all right, what am I going to do? What needs to be done? But I had a very great crew,
Mm-hmm.
and my medic that was on the engine with me, and my backwards firefighter that was with me as well as my lieutenant. But they were very good at controlling the scene and kind of being like, hey, we need this now, and then getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw what happened, I was just like, it took me a second to realize what was going on, but then I was like, all right, I need to get it together and, like I said, execute with my team.
Yeah.
So
So like afterwards, like how were you able to calm down, like the escalate and everything like that?
uh, honestly, I'm kind of good at like compartmentalizing. So
Mm-hmm.
like after the call was done, since I was on the engine, we didn't transport the rescue transport the patient, but I kind of just thought about the situation, and I talked with my engineer at the time, who was the medic on the unit, just kind of like about what happened, and then kind of just went on.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna go into the next part of the show where we talk about the mental health. So
Okay.
like, do you guys have anybody in your corner that could help debrief you from whatever that may be bothering you after going out and doing your service?
Yeah, we actually have a great team in our department for like CISM, which is critical incident like stress management.
Ooh.
So anytime someone needs someone to talk to, you have people in the department that you can go to. Like I can't remember exactly what they're called, but like they're like peer support.
Mm.
So it's good because if someone needs someone to talk to, there is someone that is in the same department who knows what you're going through that you can talk to, and if you don't want to talk to them, you can go somewhere else.
That's dope. I personally feel like it should be, all across the board, for all our first responders, that they should have
Yeah.
a department who can handle, the mental of, whatever you guys are going through, especially like with the job being so stressful, man. Man, but
Yeah.
I would say like how does this affect your mental health? Is it like one of those things where it's like, all right, I did my job, I go home, Next day, all right, go do my job, come home. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, at least, it's kind of like that. There are days where it's like, I can talk to my wife. She's very supportive. She understands. And, I can talk to her about certain calls, or I have like friends who are in the department with me as well. And like, we kind of talk, back and forth every now and then about like certain calls or like how it made us feel, and like having that support group.
That's good. You always got to have a tight circle. You know what I'm saying? Who cares about
Yeah.
your being, especially your mental being. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because it's like as men, we keep a lot of things to ourselves.
Yeah, for
Of course,
sure.
when we shouldn't be. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's why we have significant others, or we have a best friend, or a favorite cousin.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
stuff like that where it's just like, but besides, your significant other, who would you say would be like, your personal guidance counselor, or whatever it would be? Who would you say?
Um, if I really like needed to talk to somebody,
Yeah.
one of my boys, he works with the department with me. He's at a different station,
Hmm.
but we've gone through like the whole process together. We went through fire standards together. We went through orientation for Orange County together,
Hmm.
and then we were going through medic school at the same time. Not the same school, but like we've been side by side pretty much the whole journey. So that's like my rock. Like when I can't talk to like my wife or anything, like I go to him, he'll come to me.
Hmm.
We go to the gym a lot together, so we talk there, or we'll like text each other, like, "Hey, how was your shift?" or whatever, and just kind of vent.
Yeah. So that's like your brother, pretty much. That's your brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, man, it's what are some of the um gems or advice you can give to somebody who maybe a firefighter as well, that's probably struggling with getting towards the next day, or just wanting to get up to go to work? Like, what's something that you can do to motivate somebody else?
I would say one, obviously, have someone that you really trust to be there and listen to you. Um, it's hard, but try to think about why you joined the job. Like what motivated you to be in this job, and what kind of what got you to the point of that burnout, and how to change, not really change, but do things that would alleviate that burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Like talking to somebody, or maybe you need a vacation, or if you're at a busy station or a busy house, maybe transfer into a slower house, you know
Mm-hmm.
just little things that might help um, alleviate some of the stress of the job.
Okay. So what would you say, as far as like, because it's one of those things where it's like, we founded trust in the fire department
Hmm.
rather than the police department, right? And it's like, I feel like with you guys, it's clear as day. You guys came to help. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And for some reason, we just have a different kind of fear with the police. So like, have you ever had a kind of like a run-in with them, or ever been pulled over and it's like, dang, I'm a first responder myself, like, like, had that ever been like some kind of moment like that?
For me, I haven't.
Okay.
Well, as far as like getting pulled over, it's like little like
Yeah.
speeding or whatever.
Oh, let me
Something
let
that's
me
like,
let me retort my question. I'm sorry. Let me retort my
yeah,
question. Okay, so what happens is, say it's a car accident, right?
right,
It's a car accident. Okay, and you guys have to use, like, the what do they call them? Like the chain, the
oh, the
the little,
spreaders or cutters, something like that. Yeah,
yeah, the cutters, right? So you have to
yeah,
use the cutters,
yeah.
but the police officer is like, hey, no, don't use them. In that situation, what happens right there? Like, do you guys still make sure you save that person, or do you follow the police?
Um, so I've never had a situation like that. Our sheriff's office that works in Orange County with us is very good at doing their job and letting us do ours. They understand our job, and we have a general idea of what they should be doing. So I've never had that situation, but if that were to arise, unfortunately, it's not the police officer's call nor job to tell us what we should and should not be doing on our scene. You know what I'm saying? If there's a car accident, like an extrication where we have to use spreaders or tools, I don't think there would be a cop out there that would be like, "Hey, you can't do that,"
Right.
you know? Because I think that they know their job and they know like we are doing our job.
Absolutely. And that's my thing. And it was like just the story, you know, where it happened like to be like that, where it was just like, you know, the firefighter actually thought it was a good idea to use that to safely, you know, get the what do I say, the occupant, I guess, that was in the car,
The
get them
patient,
out,
yeah,
you know, well,
yeah,
the patient, sorry, and to get them out of the car, you know.
okay,
But the officer was like, no, we have to search the car, this and that and the third. So they stopped them from using that, and
okay.
you know, it escalated from there. But
Uh,
it's literally the fact of, you know, the question really is like, who really has, you know, I don't want to say like the big man, but like, you know, who has control over that situation more.
yeah,
You know
that
what I
would
mean?
be, yeah, that would be us for sure, 100%,
Okay.
because that is now a fire EMS scene,
Mm-hmm.
and the police office, the police department is there for crowd control or traffic control, whatever. They shouldn't be telling us what we should and should not be doing on our scene, especially if the firefighter saw something that was like, okay, maybe I need to use the cutters or whatever to get this patient out of the car faster, safer, whatever. That's like we wouldn't go on a SWAT standby or a SWAT call and be like, hey, you can't breach this door. That's not
Yeah.
our job. We don't know. We can't
Mm-hmm.
see what they're seeing, and we don't know their protocols and stuff like that.
Right. Right. Okay. So with 9/11, you know, soonly approaching us and everything like that,
Mhm.
like do they ever, you know, do any kind of like ceremony for you guys or anything like that, or?
uh we we obviously have our, like, we remember the day. We have emails and stuff that go out. I'm not too familiar with any ceremonies per
Mm-hmm.
se, but I do know it's a big day for us. As far as like remembrance, and we do have a fitness challenge for the 343 firefighters that have passed away. So I guess that's our way. I guess you can call that a ceremony. But that's our way of remembering and um, paying tribute to those men and women who passed away in that event.
Absolutely. Um, and my final question is, what what pushed you to really be, you know, a firefighter? What motivated you?
Um, so my father was a firefighter up in Pennsylvania when I was a little kid, and then we moved down here, and I've always been around that type of like environment. Um, we had like firefighter stuff all over the house. We had Dalmatian when I was a kid. Dalmatians are like the token dog for fire
Yeah.
stations and stuff. So that on top of, I've always been into like the medical side. Um, I was going to school for exercise physiology, and I've always been interested in like medical uh, learning. So that on top of the schedule, just feeling like every day is something. Every shift, I would say, is something different for the most part. You never know what you're gonna run into. You never know who you could be helping or whose life you could be changing.
Right.
So I think that was a big push for me.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome, man. That's so awesome. And I want to personally say thank you for your service and everything like that. I know you didn't, go across seas and fight in the army, but
Yeah.
the stuff that you're doing here helps a lot. And I just want to say thank you, man. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you for hopping on my podcast, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. It's dope to be able to do this, and uh hopefully it gets out and helps somebody, you know.
For sure. For sure. That's the whole purpose of me doing this, man. Because
Yeah, man.
I feel like there's a lot of people who, especially men who just like all the time. And
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
just have so much inner emotion that we just kept trapped for so long, and we just didn't
Yeah. And we
have a
feel like we
choice but
can't,
to get it out.
yeah, we feel
Right.
like we can't express it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna let you get on to the youngest, man. It's been another episode of UncleBo. I've been CuZo Smif, man. So.
All right.